Welcome back to the Kindmamaclub. Here you'll find strategies and activities for your little one, hit those developmental milestones, as well as sharing my experiences as a first-time mom. I'm Gumi, a pediatric occupational therapist, and my passion is to create a world that's more kind, inclusive, and supportive. Here on this channel, you'll find practical OT strategies, mama hacks, and encouragement so you can feel confident, supported, and never alone. If this sounds like the club for you, please subscribe. And today, I'm going to be talking about what to expect during your 24 to 48 hour stay. I'll first talk about things that I'm glad that I did, and then I'll talk about things that I didn't expect, and then lastly, I'll talk about what I should have done. So I had a vaginal birth. So you'll have your birth, whether it's cesarean or vaginal, induced or scheduled, and then you'll have your golden hour. I think it depends on case by case, like if your baby has to go to the NICU right away and things like that. But if they don't, you'll get that golden hour to kind of bond with your baby, and that like literally flew by so fast. And I do have a separate video talking about my whole birth story from when I started contractions to when she was born. If you want to check that out, that's in another video. So you'll have the golden hour, and then we were transferred to the mother baby unit. It was just like different floors. So you'll be wheelchaired from the birth room to the mother baby unit. And I'll first talk about things that I'm glad I did. And the first thing that I'm glad I did is stay in the hospital 2 nights because our insurance covered it. And my mom was very adamant on, if you can stay more than 1 night or like 2 nights, like stay the 2 nights. Like thinking back on it now, we did 2 nights and it was so long. But I'm so thankful because the first night, you're literally just kind of figuring it out. Like literally latching, breastfeeding, pumping, sleeping. And then when you can, you'll eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like it's crazy. The first 24 hours is crazy. And my baby was born at 1 p.m. We decided the first day that we would have no visitors. And I'm so glad we did that because I think the visiting hours was till like 8 p.m. So she was born at 1 p.m. Golden hour now is moved to the mother baby unit around like 3 p.m. And then there's what, 5 hours till visiting hours were closed, or I don't remember, it was 8 or maybe it was 6. I don't remember. Like I cannot imagine having people come because I was exhausted. My husband's exhausted. Like that first day, we were just getting to know and bond with the baby, no hosting anybody, just kind of really taking that time to bond and recover. So I'm glad I didn't have visitors on my first day and that I stayed 2 nights at the hospital because it was like the nurses are so much help, and any questions you have you can ask right away like that, and they check up on you. Food is delivered to you. Those 2 things I'm really glad I did. Another thing that I'm glad I did is I packed a blanket, for like an extra blanket in case it gets cold, because my body usually runs really cold, so I'm always cold. But then I also packed a fan because I like heard stories on like how your hormones fluctuate so much and then you get heat flashes and things like that. I used both. I used the blanket. I also brought like a portable heating pad. I used that too because it was so cold in the room and it also got really hot in the room. Like you can't adjust the temperature. You can call them like you can call and request like, hey, can you bump up the temperature? But of course other rooms are calling, hey, bump down the temperature, things like that. So you can't really control the temperature. The only thing you can control is what you have in your room. So I'm really glad that I brought both for both case scenarios, if it's too hot or too cold. I am glad I advocated to take out my IV. I had the IV here on the back of my left arm, and at first I was like, hey, can you do it in my forearm, because you move your hand a lot, right? But then one of the nurses was like we recommend here because when you're going to be holding the baby a lot, and the IVs here, that's not good. But I know they don't like to take out the IVs until you're like barely gonna get discharged, for just in case something happens. I forgot. I left it on for the first day, and I asked like, hey, can I get my IV removed? Literally to every nurse that came in on the second day. I know there's a shift change, and then one of our nurses had to go somewhere else, and we had a cover nurse, and I was like, I just want this IV out, because when I'm breastfeeding it's really awkward, and during my birth like it popped off twice, so they had to like reattach it twice. So I was like, I just need this out. And it took literally like 4 nurses, and then a doctor came in, and the doctor was like, yeah, sure, I'll tell one of the nurses. Of course the doctor's not gonna do it, so you have to ask the nurse. And I still remember her face. I don't know her name. There was this nurse that was like, okay, I'm here to take your IV out. And I was like, thank goodness you're here, you're finally here. Like, props to her, thank you so much for taking out my IV. That made breastfeeding so much more easier and things like that. The 5th thing that I'm glad that I did is make my baby's appointment and my 6-week OB appointment at the hospital. So there was like, you know, a couple minutes or here and there that you're kind of, or like they'll give you like a to-do list. You have to do like your social security, paper fill out. Okay, you gotta make baby's appointment. And then they're like, eventually you have to make your 6-week OB. I'm glad I did all those appointments, because once I came home, no thank you, I don't want to think about calling and then things like that, making appointments, no thank you. So I'm glad I did it at the hospital, so I don't have to worry about that. And the last thing that I'm glad that I did is, this is during your 3rd trimester, but I'm glad we watched and practiced how to put a baby in a car seat, or else we would have been at the hospital watching the video. They're like, take your time, like whenever, when you get discharged, you're like, just let us know when you're ready to go. But I'm glad we weren't sitting there in the hospital room watching. Now I'll talk about things that I didn't expect. So I knew about the fundal massages after birth right away, when you deliver your baby and then you deliver your placenta, and then they do the fundal massages. If you don't know what they are, it's when they literally push on your stomach to make sure there's no clots in there, there's no hemorrhaging, everything is clear inside. And I didn't know they'll be doing more fundal massages once I moved to the mother baby unit. And for birth, I totally forgot they were gonna do fundal massages, and they're like, okay, I have to massage you now. And I was like, oh yeah. And that hurt. And I talk about more of that in my birth story, but I didn't know once you move up to the mother baby unit, they still do the fundal massages. It's not as like bad and forceful as the one after birth, but I wasn't expecting the fundal massages, and they're like, sorry, we have to do it. I'm like, it's okay. Because after birth, anything's okay. Like, I also didn't expect literally cramps when breastfeeding. I remember like way back when I was like researching a bunch of things about like birth and pregnancy, like they're like, oh yeah, you're gonna have cramps during breastfeeding. I totally forgot. And every time the nurse came in and asked like, what's your pain level, what's your pain level, I really didn't have any pain. It was like 0 out of 10, 0 out of 10 the first day, I think. And then I believe like the 2nd day, that's when like the cramping really started coming in for during the breastfeeding. I'm like, oh, like ow, like okay, maybe I'm at like a 2 out of 10 now. Things like that. So I wasn't expecting that, or I totally forgot about it. Oh, and I did not expect manually logging feeds on paper. And what I mean by logging feeds is every time the nurse comes in, they'll ask, when did you feed? What time did you feed? How many minutes? How many minutes on your left? How many minutes on your right? Did you do both? And I was not expecting that at all. Every 2 to 3 hours. And sometimes we're so sleepy, right? And we're like, and my husband was in charge of that, like logging it. And they're like, did you pump after? Are you pumping? Like, It was crazy. I was not expecting do that every 2 to 3 hours, and you're like trying to feed, you're trying to sleep as much as you can, but so now I'll talk about what I should have done is I should have downloaded a baby tracker nursing app. I downloaded this app after birth, after I came home, and I should have done it before, because this app literally, you'll choose nursing and you'll choose right, and it starts the timer automatically for you, and then you press left and right. Yeah, I said left. But you can press the side that you're nursing on, and then you can pause it and then switch to the other side. Like, you don't have to, we were manually looking at the clock, like, okay, how many minutes? Like, oh my gosh. So I should have downloaded the app, the baby tracker app, before going to the hospital. Just download it. I suggest you download it before your birth, and just download it when you download the contraction timer. Just do it at the same time. Just another thing that I should have done during my birth, or I'm the kind of person who likes their hair up and away from their face, literally up and away. And I should have had my hair in like the high bun that you'll sometimes, or you usually see in my videos that I have. Just keeps everything away from my face, and I should have done that. I didn't get the chance to do it until literally discharge. Was, you know, those like white, those face wipes, or like those face packs. Oh my goodness, when I wiped my face right before discharge, I felt so refreshed, because I did not shower, I did not wash my face. I was just living for those 48 hours plus right before discharge. And then before discharge, that's when I actually changed from the hospital gown to like my clothes, and I kind of brushed my teeth, and I kind of got a refresher, and I was like, maybe I could have done this, at least the face wiping, so you don't have to get up and go to the sink and wash your face and things. You can literally be in bed and just wipe your face, and you will feel so much refreshed. Maybe put on some moisturizer and things like that. But yep, those are the things that I should have done. So I hope you download that baby tracker app along with your contraction timer app before birth, and let me know if you have any comments or questions. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.